We are super excited for this episode. This is the second part of the interview with Brad Gibb. And today, what he's going to reveal, wait for it. He's going to reveal how to achieve financial freedom. And this is the hint. Does not take millions of dollars or multiple decades to achieve it. And then what else, Chris?
Well, we're also going to talk about the reality that if I could give you a check for $100 million, $1 trillion, I don't even care the amount of money, unlimited numbers of zeros, and deposit it into your retirement account, it would not change your reality tomorrow. Last thing, as if that wasn't enough, is how to completely change the rules of your financial game. We are so excited for this. Let's dive in.
Awesome question. I want everybody to think about that for a minute while I pause, and you guys can think about define financial freedom, right? Most people tie financial freedom to net worth, right? The amount of money that they have in their possession that they can put on a balance sheet. For me, that has zero to do with it. I was financially free before I ever made six figures and before I ever had a net worth of $1 million. I was financially free. Because for me...
How is that possible? Because in my what I've been taught to, what I've been up till now, literally up until May 25th, my understanding of financial freedom was put money away in a retirement plan that is based in stocks, and it will eventually compound, and you will then at some endpoint be able to take that money and never work again.
And when you put it in, it's tax-free, but when you take it out, you're taxed. Somehow that the government still get but we're talking the same thing.
Yeah, so I'd love you to unpack that a little bit.
Yes. So it's again, it starts with setting the right target. So let's go through this thought experiment. If I could write a check again with as many zeros as you want, and we're all in our 30s. How old are you guys?
39.
43. Yeah, I just turned 38. So for us, especially, if I could write you guys a check with as many zeros, I can't. I'd love to, but I can't. But if I could write a check with as many zeros as you guys need to be totally financially free, but then I deposited that in your retirement account, is life any different tomorrow?
Not even a little. No. Not a bit.
It feels really good to open up your account balance, but can it impact your life tomorrow? It can't. Because what do we really want out of that account? We don't want a big account balance. What we want it to do is to translate into income and replace the income, because most people want to have the ability to stop whatever it is that's creating income in their life. So we don't want savings, we want income. And we've been taught that we need to accumulate and then we'll translate it in some magical way. If you want a funny thing, if you've ever watched the cartoon South Park, Google's underwear gnomes and watch that, because they go through it. It's like this whole business plan of we're going to do step one, then step two is, and then step three, we make a bunch of money. That's the way retirement plans are, is there is no step two in this process of how does this accumulation of capital somehow turn into income? So we just cut the whole middle out and say financial freedom, and I'll bring my screen back up for those that are watching live, or on the video. Financial freedom is when your cash flow from your investments, from activities that are not, we'll get into this later, there's no such thing as passive income, but income that is not directly attributed to your current active activity, when that exceeds your expenses, you are financially free. Agreed?
Agreed. Yeah.
Because, and financial freedom means I'm not reliant on waking up and producing for my income. This has nothing to do with net worth. This has nothing to do with how much money you make. We can manipulate these two sides of the equation, create more cash flow or manage our expenses. Mm-hmm. And as soon as this is solved, I don't have to wake up and worry about money anymore because it's taken care of.
And it doesn't have to happen when I'm 59 and a half years old.
And then to our point, anybody following the right set of principles that are focused on the most effective ways to create cash flow can do this in 10 years or less. Mm-hmm. This is the mission of Cashflow Tactics.
Financial freedom, cash flow, exceeding expenses in 10 years or less.
That's the mission of Cashflow Tactics. Yep.
You have to be a business owner?
You do not have to be, no. But what we will teach you to do, and this is the cool connection, you have to be entrepreneurial with your money. You cannot accept someone else will come save me. Someone will care more. Somebody is smarter than me. Somebody knows what I need more than I do with your money. That's an area of life you cannot turn over. So we're teaching you to take control and responsibility of your money and your capital. Doesn't mean do it all. I don't do all the things in my business, right? But I understand it, I know it, and I control it.
Right.
So Brad, let me stop you for a second, because I think some minds just got blown by some of our listeners. So what we've all been taught to do, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, is to invest in either a 401k program or an IRA, simple or Roth or whatever, and continue to put money in that until it builds up enough till I get to the end of this working career time where I can start to live off that, right? Start to take money out of it and use that as my income. Like, so explain to our listeners, like, why that is so dangerous, why that's so not what you, like the opposite of what you guys are teaching, and the reason.
Oh man, where do I start? Because there's so many reasons why this just fundamentally doesn't work. Okay. I'll start with this. I don't have a problem inherently with 401ks. Okay. And you guys are like, heresy, because you just spent yesterday bashing them. Yes, you're right, I bash them. But do 401ks work? I have to say yes, because you will have more money. I believe just about everybody that participates in a 401k, at the end of their retirement, they'll have more money than they put into it. That's irrefutable, right?
Unless the 2007 happens again, but yes.
Correct. They've designed, because if 2007 happens, you're going to say, oh, don't worry about it, you're in for the long run and it'll recover. And that's probably true, right? So over a 40-year participation in a 401k account, you'll have more than you put in. But where I have issue with it is, does it accomplish our goals and our outcomes? Can a 401k be a vehicle to help us be financially free in 10 years or less? No, never. Under any set of circumstances is that attainable. So that's why I dismiss a 401k, right? Does a 401k make it so I pay the least amount of taxes possible? No, I actually pay more taxes when I use a 401k account. So I don't want to use it from that standpoint. Do I have control over the capital and the investments and the outcome? If I'm not getting what I want, can I influence it? No, I can't. So I'm not going to use that account, right? So we go back to these sets of principles that we operate, and for anyone that has ever been financially successful enough to be financially independent before the age of 65 has followed a certain set of principles. Then that's what we teach. The 401k violates all of those. Okay. And then the last part about it, and we can get more tactical, you guys just guided me, but the other part about it that I have, the other issue that I have is no matter how much money you have set aside and accumulated, if your retirement has looked like this, accumulating a balance of assets, and then you're supposed to let go of everything you've done for the last 40 years, all of the program security you have around a paycheck, and then start drawing this account down, you will, no matter how much you managed to accumulate, you will be in scarcity from day one. Because anytime you are withdrawing and seeing that net worth balance go down, does any of us know how long we have to live or how much it's going to cost us to live throughout retirement?
No.
So there will always be a question mark of, will this last? Am I not taking too much? And you will be programmed to take the least amount out. So you spent 40 years living in scarcity around trying to spend the least amount possible, defer all of your gratification, and live into the future. And then if you're successful and you do actually retire, you're going to spend retirement doing the same thing, trying to live out all your dreams that you deferred while you were working on the least amount of money possible, just in case, so that it lasts long enough. Mm-hmm. It's miserable even if you're successful.
Yeah, totally. It's funny, like in yoga, we talk about like living fully in the present. Living fully in the present. And what gets set up in the financial world is wait to live until you retire. That's when life starts. Like, and what's so fascinating to me too is when we started getting into the academy, the training videos, the majority of the videos in the beginning were not tactical. They didn't tell me where to invest. They didn't tell me like what you're going to do or not do, like what's wrong with 401k, what's like right with, real estate. It was more about self-development. And so
we gotcha. Everything is self-development. Yoga is self-development wrapped in, hey, you need to go and do these poses. But ultimately everything is. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's exactly right. And I guess we loved it because that's our world. We have our desire is to help empower people to live their best lives through this practice of yoga, through meditation, through like conscious movement, through, and then for people who are listening to this, who have now fallen in love with that so much that they now want to offer that to others, right? And it's not, the whole premise behind it is to be able to live fully. And so what was so I have a question that's coming on this one, but the first thing is that what was so aligned with us as far as like yoga entrepreneurs is it was giving us the freedom to live, and the tools, the tactics, the understanding, the strategies, this literally like we've taken a red pill to see this whole new paradigm that brings the present into our grasp in terms of what it means financially to live fully in the present and to regain control over something that has been taught my entire life to give it to somebody else who knows better. Why would you ever know like the finances and the markets and ever learn? And why would you ever want to try to figure it out? Because there's smarter people than you. They're going to tell you what to do. And what this does, it's very empowering is my point. How did you come, was it just through you living the process that you realized, wait, we can't go to where most people want us to go and tell them okay, what real estate should I invest in? And what are the mechanics of the cash on cash? And was that just born from your own experience, or was that
At what point did you realize people need personal development before we jump into the bigger stuff?
It ultimately comes out of, and you're right on all those accounts. It's so interesting that you guys are in the world of empowerment, and so are we. Your vehicle is yoga, mine's money. We're doing the exact same thing. You're just using yoga and I'm using money. Does that make sense? I hope everybody listening really makes sense of that. And Stephen Larson with OfferMind is doing the same thing. He's empowering you with business systems and marketing systems. It's all about empowerment. But the one area of life that still remains very, very protected is the area of money, that we can't be empowered with money. Money is one of those couple of topics that's just off the table, to be able to ever do that. And that's what we're out to shift and change. How did I get there? I think it's a combination of a couple things. Growing up on a farm and being in a very free environment definitely seeded some of that. For those that, I don't know, are you guys into personality tests at all? Like Myers-Briggs or DISC?
Yeah.
So it seems like you're in a good mastermind group if they give you a personality test first and say you need to bring this so you understand yourself and how you're going to interact with everybody else.
Yeah.
So I'm in Russell Brunson's mastermind group, and they use the DISC assessment pretty heavily there. And there's two components to the DISC assessments. There's the ratings on the DISC, but there's also a values assessment that underlies that. And it wasn't until I had a deep dive with the DISC expert in that group that something really interesting was uncovered. And it's mirrored me, Ryan, and Jimmy. So the three founders of Cashflow Tactics, we all had one value that did not make sense for the business that we were in.
Hey, Brad, let me pause for a second. Will you close down the share so I can see you better?
Yes. There we go. So the values, as a money guy, economic should have been my top one, dollars and cents, right? That was one of my lowest.
Wow.
Political also should have been very high, where we had authority, I'm in charge, you're going to do what I say, right? Those two, for most money people, are the highest driving motivators that leads them into the conversation of money. Those are the lowest for me and Ryan and Jimmy. The highest is whatever one translates to independence or freedom for all of us. So from a very young age, money to me equated to freedom, to being in control and having what I want. and the outcomes that I'm pursuing. So as I built, and again, it led all the way through, like anytime I got cornered and constrained, I made a shift and I needed to get out of that, right? With my education, with Goldman Sachs, with the other job that I had all the way here to Cashflow Tactics. So, but as I learned and studied and put the elements of money together, I was always looking at it from a standpoint of, does this investment, does this analysis, does this opportunity make me more free or less free? I never asked the question of, am I going to make money or not? To me, that was a given. If I'm not making money in investment, I'm really bad at this. Like, it's not make money or not make money. It should always be make money, or why am I involved, right? So it was, does this get me closer to my outcome of freedom or not? And that's how I was able to become financially free before ever making six figures or being worth $1 million, is I lined up every single decision to move the needle toward being more financially free than I was before. And we shortcutted the process and eliminated everything that doesn't, lined up all the things that actually move the needle to get us there. And that's how we ended up putting this together to where we can be financially free in 10 years or less. If we just do all the things that make us free and none of the things that don't, it has nothing to do with making more money or not. Lines up that way. And you guys now see it in the process we've taken you through, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what blew our minds most is that the common understanding is that to be financially free, you need to make $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month personal take home, or $1 million, or $2 million, or $10 million, depending on whatever lifestyle you want to have. And the reality is, and what you all taught was, you simplify it. What are your expenses? And what's your cash flow? And make one of those bigger than the other.
Yeah. And the interesting part about it, though, and this is where I love coming back into the entrepreneur side and the side of production, like, I don't have to cut my expense. There are people out there that can get you financially free in 10 years or less, but you're gonna eat rice and beans, and you're just gonna reduce the expense side. We don't come at a place of scarcity. Like, anything you want, to me, like, you guys already know this, but my addiction in this life is horsepower, and it's very expensive to have a horsepower addiction. Like, I want to start like a foundation for those people.
A nonprofit.
Yeah. But to me, those things just become carrots. They become the incentive, not for what they are, but I know that if I want to do those things, I first have to take care of, like, I have to go through, and my family comes first, and I have to grow my business, and I have to add values to enough other people that they give me money. And in order to get that, I have to add value, and I give a lot to charity, and I make sure those around me are taken care of. And only if after I've accomplished all of those things do I then still have money left over, then I get to go enjoy those types of things. So I want to line people's lives up the same way. So it's not about reducing expenses. It's about understanding the principles around creating the most cash flow that we possibly can. But where I wanted to go with that was, once you hit it at a very minimal nominal level, like my first declaration of financial freedom, I look at it and I'm like, I spend more than that in like a day sometimes now. Like, my financial freedom number now is 10 or 20x that. But once I hit it the first time, the entire rules of the game change. Because now, once I hit it, I was like, I don't have to go to work tomorrow. Do I really want to go to work tomorrow? And if I am, what am I going to do while I'm there? Like, the entire rules of the game change of where I get to spend my time and thinking and deciding. And if you've ever played Kiyosaki's game of Cashflow, like, when you exit the rat race, the literal rules written for the board game change. You pull out a different set of rules and you play by a different set of rules. The same happens financially. And every time I pull out a new set of rules and see how the world works, it's like, holy crap, now I can create financial freedom at an entirely different level that I didn't even think was possible, but I couldn't see it until I created it at level 1.
Yeah. You're changing, like, what occurred to me over the last couple of weeks has been, I'm playing a different game.
Yes.
I've literally exited out of the game that I've been taught to play, and which doesn't give me control. It increases my risk. It increases the taxes I pay. And all of a sudden So I'm now it's like I always think I'm like, I've taken the red pill. I'm seeing inside the matrix. I see 0 and 1s everywhere. That's all I got.
Yep.
But so hearing all that and like hearing like your take on the stock market and, you know, like this different way of looking at financial freedom, it's so counter to what the mainstream philosophy is. Like how, and so, and not to mention we have advisors, right, who are within the game that they're playing are giving us sound advice that makes sense for what success and freedom means within that game. Like so just a personal story, like I've been like going through the process and I had to talk to my financial advisor and I am like defunding my IRA so that I can be financially free.
Heresy.
What? Heresy.
Chris is going to get some comments on that one.
Oh my God. Yeah. And please, it's okay. I'll be fine. You're good. You guys are good. And wait, no,
your concern. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And it's okay for you to think I'm crazy. Just watch is what I'll say. Just watch, and I will just document it the whole way. But it was so in this conversation I had with my advisor, he was aggressive in like, no, the path you're going down is the enemy. It's the wrong thing to do. You're like, this is not. I cannot more strongly advise you against this. And it shook me in all the things I've been learning, everything that I know, like that I see as an example within the mentors, within you and within Ryan and within Jimmy and all the people that are in the community who are doing it and like they're successful and they're becoming like they're on the path. And I guess my question is, how do you know, how in that situation would you have coached me to handle that situation?
Awesome. That is such a powerful conversation because I like this question so much more than, Brad, I got $10,000. What should I do with it? Like, this is a much more powerful question because, like I said, to be empowered, you can't ask the question, what do I do with my money? If you're asking the question, what do I do with my money? What's exposed is you don't have enough financial IQ. So the answer is invest in yourself until you know what to do. Then you start asking questions of how do I get this outcome and who do I need to connect with to give me that outcome? Those are the questions of people with a high level of financial IQ. But not the what do I do with my money? That's exposing your level of financial IQ. So this is a powerful question of alignment, right? The first thing I would have asked about this advisor being this aggressive is I'd say, Chris and John, look at this advisor. Do you want what he has financially? What's your answer?
No.
Is he financially where you want to be?
No.
Is his track that he is personally on one you want to be following in his footsteps?
No.
Okay, so why are you asking this guy advice?
Because I've been conditioned to.
Because we've been conditioned to, right? We've been conditioned, and this goes back to the conversation at the beginning of college and degrees and education and the mentality that we have to break away with. Again, college is good if you walk away with a skill, but you can't be conditioned there. He has more letters after his name than you, right?
Yeah.
He took more tests that tell him he's smarter than you.
Yes.
That's what he's holding over you.
Yeah.
So he knows the vehicle of a 401k better than you do. And that vehicle, if you participate in it, will have more money than you put into it. So he can hold inside of that frame some leverage over you.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But he is not financially free. Okay. Would you ever take a yoga class from me?
No.
Thank you. Good. You're bad at it. I actually do yoga and I like yoga. I'm not the one to take classes.
Unless there's something you haven't told us, Brad. But no.
No. And so, but I would take yoga classes from you because you've done it, right? So here's a guy trying to give you advice in an area that he has not played. Is he an entrepreneur?
No.
Has he made an investment and a bet on himself ever since college?
No.
Probably not, right? Does he have cash flow in his life? What does his tax bill look like? What are the things he's trying to do with his money? He's collecting his paycheck and funding his accounts, and then that's it. So he does not have the ability to give you the advice that you're looking for.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Now we can go down the road of all the reasons why what he's telling you is still not going to get the outcome, but it fundamentally starts with he is trying to advise a path that is not yours.
Yeah, this has been the biggest game changer for me is the financial IQ, increasing that to empower myself to have to actually take part in conversations that I had never taken part in.
Yeah.
There's in these previous episodes, John and I, we were talking about our money issues, talking about growing up poor, talking about a dad who held strong to his art of like literally like canvas and paint, but didn't understand how to market it, and really honestly didn't have any interest in it. And he would always be like, the universe will provide. Well, it always did at the 11th hour, but that left us, in the wake of like poverty. We're poor, we're broke.
And I'm sure it freaked him out. I mean, he's been meditating his whole life, but he would come. It would be down to the wire over and over again. 6 kids. We grew up with 6 kids in our family. And it would be down.
You guys are normal, so I have hope. Okay.
Yeah, you'll be good. Don't worry.
And it would be, right about like a week away from Christmas, Brad, and he didn't have any money to buy presents. And inevitably in that week, someone would say, "Okay, I want to do a commission, and
I want to prepay. Here's all this money
up front." But it was living a life like that. It was always down to the wire.
Yeah. So I guess my point is like we've been having this money conversation, and it's funny because I understand the scarcity mindset, the poverty consciousness that I've actually outgrown. But what also happened in that was I hadn't taken the next step of leveling up and actually understanding to because there's always expansion, there's always evolution. And I was like, up until very recently, it was like, okay, I understand the nature of money as energy, and like it follows the value that you can provide for somebody. And if you solve a big enough problem, then it's going to come to you. And like if you have the right mindset, you do the work, and you all the stuff that I know to be true, but there was this next level of understanding of what is financial freedom. And this is what's really interesting, and I don't believe in coincidences, only synchronicities, is that John and I, when we write our goals down, we're very clear about what it is that we want to accomplish. And the specific phrase that we have had on this goal setting list is financial freedom. Financial freedom. And when we saw the tagline, financial freedom in 10 years or less, and you proceeded for like 3.5 hours to like completely change our reality, it was like, oh, this is it. This is the direction. But it goes back to having the target, understanding where you want to go, and then being willing to spend money on yourself to develop yourself as a human being, as a person, so that you can grow into the person and the goals and the reality that you want to live in.
But what I want to point out, what you just said is money and finance is a skill set that needs to be learned, just like any other skill set, right? You had to learn yoga good first. Now you're trying to learn marketing good, right? And business skills good, but you need to learn money skills good as well. And I'm saying good on purpose. I know that's not grammatically correct to make the point, right? Like we have to learn this set of skill set to match and increase along with the other places that we expand in our life. And that's what like we're trying to recondition the market and recondition our clients and recondition everybody that comes to us because they just want us to give them the answer. Like, that's not my objective. That's easy. That would be the easy route out for me, would be don't ask me any questions, give me your money and let me do my thing. And I could make everybody a lot of money. That's not what we're here for. Right. That's not financial freedom. Because if I got hit by a bus, now you're screwed. No matter what I did for you, if you don't understand what it is and have the skill set to be a high enough financial IQ for it, either I'm hurting you because I'm going to get hit by a bus, or I'm hurting you because it's like, I don't give my 3-year-old a pair of scissors. Not a smart parenting move, right? Same thing is I don't give somebody financial scissors to say, yeah, go do all these things because their financial IQ is not high enough to manage it.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. Oh man, I got like 1,000 questions that I wrote down. But man,
we haven't got very tactical. Are there a couple tactical things we can give everybody? Because I hope we blew their minds like financially, but are there a couple like major questions we know we could just hammer on before we end? Maybe we do that.
Yeah, let's do that. I think one huge one is for you to go into core four pillars.
Awesome.
That is something that I like routinely go back to over and over again because it's principles that guide decisions.
It's the guideline to follow.
Whoa, wasn't that amazing? So coming in the next episode, this is going to be the third part of this interview with Brad Gibb.
The final part.
the third and final. What do we got, Chris?
Well, at the final part of this trilogy, we're going to be talking about the core four, which are financial principles to live by. We're also going to be talking about the iceberg principle. And the last bit is going to be the 3 best places to invest your money.
Yes. Thanks so much for listening to Yoga Entrepreneur Secrets. Do you have a question that you'd like us to answer raw and uncut on the podcast?
If you want your questions answered, all you need to do is head over to Apple Podcasts and do 3 simple things.
1, rate and review, telling us what you think of the podcast. 2, in that review, ask anything you want related to yoga. And 3, if you want a shout out, leave your Instagram handle or name. And that's it.
Then listen in to hear your question answered live, raw, and uncut.
Join us next time on Yoga Entrepreneur Secrets Podcast.
Thanks.